The Wonderful World of Darklords. Report 4. The Sleeping Kingdom. After the riotous activity of Neverland, the Sleeping Kingdom came as something of a shock. I knew the name was, in the case of King Stephen's castle, entirely literal. What I didn't expect was that the entire kingdom, even those outside the castle's thorns, would be in such stasis that they seemed to be asleep themselves. All anyone seems to do is hope for the sleepers to awaken, except the one who put them there, and even she seems to be at loose ends with so few conscious humans to torment. Like a leviathan in a fishbowl, the mistress of the Sleeping Kingdom's considerable malice and will are constrained by her tiny realm, and woe be to anyone who rouses her from her lassitude. The Lord. Although the Sleeping Kingdom once had a mortal king and queen, there is no question of who its true monarch is today. Maleficent, the mistress of all evil, does not issue any decrees or statutes, but the entire kingdom trembles in the shadow of her forbidden mountain. Maleficent proclaims herself to be an archfey, and some in the kingdom swear that she is the daughter of the Queen of Errant Darkness herself. Apparently, the magical sleep that grips the kingdom was her vengeance over a snub at Princess Aurora's christening. This struck me as extreme even for the Fae, but upon further investigation I learned that the princess had only been conceived with great difficulty. It suddenly became easier for me to imagine how this difficulty had been overcome, and why Maleficent would have a certain sense of ownership. When I had the great misfortune of coming face to face with Maleficent, I discovered one more curious trait. When I used the eldritch sight my patron so grudgingly bestowed upon me, I could see that she fairly reeked of transmutation magic. Perhaps she was merely infusing herself with some sort of elemental power. I was not in a position to ask questions. Or perhaps she hides a form more powerful or more hideous beneath her elegant fey veneer. The Land. The Sleeping Kingdom is dominated by the Forbidden Mountain and the thorn-choked Sleeping Castle. While the people of the small neighboring kingdom of Ulstead should, in theory, be more vibrant and active than a castle filled with sleepers, they seem to be sleepwalking themselves, hoping someone else breaks the curse or salvages their many treasures from the castle, yet too frightened of Maleficent's wrath to dare it themselves. The growth surrounding the castle is nearly impenetrable, and without magical assistance I would not have had any hope of making it through, as attested by the skeletons of those who had made the attempt before me, impaled upon the thorns. Inside, I was greeted by an eerie sight. Hundreds of nobles lying asleep at banquet tables and upon ballroom floors, their finery rotted away with the passage of years, their bodies draped in cobwebs. Although they could not have eaten or drunk in that time, the people themselves seemed perfectly preserved. I could not shake the feeling of being watched as I explored the castle. While some of this could be due to Maleficent's scrying, that would not explain the sounds of something shuffling through the halls of the castle, which vanished whenever I applied any attempted detection. Something is awake in a castle where all living creatures have slept for almost a century, which suggests that it is either very powerful or not living. Dread possibilities. As I drew near Princess Aurora's bedchamber, I caught sight of an emerald flame. Believing that I may have at last discovered the source of the mysterious sounds, I turned to face the light full on. I remember the sensation of cold on my finger as the ring tried and failed to rally my will, and the impression of being surrounded by green fire. When my senses returned to me, I was lying bound at Maleficent's feet. With a tone as civil as though we were sitting over cups of tea, she asked what business had brought me to the castle. I saw no point in dissembling, particularly as I was sure my life would be forfeit if she believed that I wished to break the curse, and explained that I was investigating the Sleeping Kingdom on your behalf. She reacted to the name Yensid with puzzlement, further cementing my conviction that it is a pseudonym, and told me to repeat it. When I did, a vivid image of my patron appeared in my mind, and I knew she was reaching in with her elegant fingers and pulling it out. When she saw Yensid's face in my thoughts, her face settled into an expression of cool self-satisfaction. "If he wished for a tour of my dominions, he had only to ask," she said. "I suppose I should be offended that you came skulking about without an invitation. But tell your master that I will let you go, as a personal favor to him, and that I expect to be repaid in kind. A little favor, for a little servant. Her kobold minions unbound me, and she informed me in no uncertain terms that her generosity would find its limits if I were still within her kingdom by sunrise. I could do nothing but agree to her terms and retreat, chastened, to Olstead. Parting thoughts. Although the Sleeping Kingdom promises great rewards to anyone who can plunder the castle's storerooms or assist the desperate people of Olstead, I cannot recommend that anyone make the attempts to exploit it. Maleficent's power is too great to risk tempting her, and given how starved she is for entertainment, I believe anyone who falls into her grasp will linger there for a very, very long time. I would be among those unfortunates if not for the spells and invocations you shared with me, Yensid, as well as the protection offered by whatever your true name may be, so I suppose that thanks are in order. I will do what I must to merit whatever further tutelage you have for me. I will not be helpless again. I did not wish to stay in the Sleeping Kingdom a moment longer than necessary, but I needed to rest from the day's perils before I would risk entering the mists, so I'm staying at an inn in Olstead with the intent of leaving well before morning. I send this to you with... Something has happened. As I finished writing my report, I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, I was greeted by a curious sight. 3 children, dressed as a fiend, a witch, and a skeleton, and holding a large black sack in their hands. "Trick or treat!" they shouted. They drew the sack over my head, and I knew no more.
The general populace is often incapable of opposing true authority without a firm hand to guide them. More often than not, it takes the interference of outside forces to impose lasting change upon these lands. The populace's apathetic nature to their own plight should not come as a surprise. The spell work upon the sleepers in Stefan's castle is disappointingly nothing more than fey enchantments, most likely combined with ill-phrased bargains. Questions one should be asking is why and by whom this was done, for I assure you, my dear, it is not Maleficent's doing. Perhaps one day my servant shall have the arcane prowess to see her true nature, but for now, she must be satisfied with pondering the possibilities. I had not intended for my little servant to encounter the self-proclaimed mistress of all evil, but it appears she has an aptitude for being captured by witches. No matter. Maleficent is more than welcome to send one of her minions to tour my vast kingdom. I am certain they can provide her with indispensable wisdom, such as the number of grown adults that one may encounter slumbering in cradles.
This has been The Wonderful World of Darklords. We have no affiliation with Disney or Wizards of the Coast. All music recordings used in this episode are in the public domain and were obtained through museopen.org. Titles and links are in the show notes. Dialogue for Yensid was written by Aslan Rex himself, who you can follow on Tumblr at darklordaslan. The Wonderful World of Darklords logo was designed by Haylight Jones. You can find links to their work in the show notes. If you'd like to support the show, look for us on patreon.com or find our tip jar on Red Circle. Thanks for listening.